Diddy's co-conspirators could be facing their own criminal case. This is the main question that a lot of people want to know. They want to know, when will Diddy's co-conspirators be charged alongside of him? And now that we're getting to the end of trial, we've heard two co-conspirators, actually called co-conspirators by the government. First one is Diddy's former chief of staff, Christina Korm, and we have heard her name be brought up so many times. And the second one is Diddy's security D-Rock. Here the government calls him a co-conspirator. And I want to break it all down how these co-conspirators could be charged if Diddy is found guilty. And Diddy's case is very similar to R. Kelly's case without the minors. If you didn't know, R. Kelly was charged and found guilty of the RICO. In R. Kelly's case that was also in the Southern District of New York, they said that R. Kelly ran a criminal enterprise, hence the RICO charge that he was found guilty of. The co-conspirators listed in the R. Kelly case went from bodyguards to personal assistants to drivers to managers and more, kind of similar to Diddy. They said that R. Kelly would use his fame and stardom and dangle it in front of his victims' faces. They said R. Kelly and his co-conspirators used bribery, intimidation, physical violence, and even blackmail upon his victims. And the blackmail was R. Kelly recording these encounters with these victims on camcorders, iPhones, iPads for over 30 years. If you go back and dive into R. Kelly's case, the way he handled the charges being brought against him is exactly how Diddy is handling his case. R. Kelly pleaded not guilty all the way through of the RICO. And he's like, you cannot charge me with RICO. You're only charging me. You have to charge as a criminal enterprise. That didn't work for R. Kelly because R. Kelly was later found guilty of RICO and sentenced 30 years in the Southern District of New York. And this is where the co-conspirators come into play, because if you thought that this is where it ended, no. R. Kelly actually had a whole another case in Chicago after the fact, and this is where they charged co-conspirators. Once R. Kelly was found guilty in the Southern District of New York, they came back and they indicted him on more charges, and they also charged co-conspirators. They charged R. Kelly again in federal court, but this time it wasn't the Southern District of New York, it was the Northern District of Illinois. So after trial, R. Kelly's co-conspirators did get acquitted on all charges, but R. Kelly got found guilty all over again. After R. Kelly was just sentenced 30 years by the Southern District of New York, he was then sentenced to 20 years in the Northern District of Illinois. But 19 of those years will be served consecutive with his New York sentence, which means he will only have an additional year in prison. Basically, R. Kelly is actually sentenced to 31 years in prison total between the Southern District of New York and Illinois. We don't know for sure if this is what might happen to Diddy's co-conspirators in his case if he's found guilty, but since we saw it happen with R. Kelly's case, it's very likely that this is how they could charge these co-conspirators. But y'all let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments.